Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're hitting the legendary Pacific Coast Highway, affectionately known as the PCH, and then we're heading inland to explore the breathtaking beauty of Yosemite National Park. So sit back, relax, and come along with us. The Pacific Coast Highway runs from Southern California at a city called Dana Point, which is an hour north of San Diego. It runs from there all the way through California and up through Oregon and Washington. But the most popular portion of the PCH is in California along Highway 1. Heard how beautiful it was. We took the time to do it while we were there. You really need quite a few days to really see everything. So we made a point to map out the stops that we really wanted to see. We left out that morning from San Diego and we headed up. The first stop was Santa Barbara, which is a little inland. I had a former colleague who lives in Santa Barbara, and so we met him for lunch there, ate at this incredible place called the Blue Owl. We'd actually...
Hi, Jason.
Yeah. Jason is my former colleague. We'd heard about the Blue Owl on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, which is a Food Network show. And when I mentioned it to Jason, he said that was his favorite spot in Santa Barbara, so it worked out well, but it was definitely worth the hype. They had a lot of gluten-free, a lot of vegan and vegetarian options, so very much enjoyed that and enjoyed our time with him. We had heard about a gluten-free bakery there in Santa Barbara, and then when I told Jason that we were going to be heading there, which was just a quick walk from the Blue Owl, he mentioned another bakery that's right by the bakery we were going to. So we ended up going to both and indulged a little bit.
Locum was where we went first, and it was Turkish decor, for lack of a better way to describe it. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Decided to just get tea there. We didn't get any of their desserts. And then we went to the Lilac Patisserie. So yeah, we got a few desserts, chocolate chip cookie, lemon meringue tart, and a lemon bar. And we liked everything and wish we
had gotten more, yeah.
More things.
After Santa Barbara, we made our way to Solvang. I see why a lot of people like it, but for me, the town seemed very gimmicky. It had a lot of fairy tale-like cottages. From there, we headed up to Pismo Beach. It's known as the clam capital of the world. It was a nice beach. We didn't stay there very long. I think we walked on the beach a little bit. And then we headed on up, made our way to San Luis Obispo, or SLO, as it's affectionately known. And we ended up staying there overnight and then got up the next day and headed out again.
We had a great stay at the accommodation there in SLO.
Yeah.
That was our favorite part, ironically enough. Everyone was super nice. The highlight of my time there was the time in the hotel. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just really nice people. It was a really good hotel room.
We got up the next morning and we headed to Morro Bay. We are out here at Morro Bay and checking out Morro Rock as we continue our PCH drive. That was our next stop, which is known for Morro Rock. There's a huge, well, they call it a rock, but it's pretty...
Mountain.
Yeah, it's like a mountain looking thing. But anyway, it kind of sits right there, right on the beach, next to the beach. So we walked the beach a little bit. I would say the best part about that was the seal.
Surprise.
Yeah, there was just this one seal hanging out. We gave him or her their space. We kind of got up close enough to be able to, I think, get some good shots.
There were quite a few surfers,
Quite a
but
few,
they were walking by the seal, and the seal didn't seem to care much for anybody.
No.
It was amazing, having never seen one so close, to be right up on it.
I think the highlight for most people of the PCH is Big Sur. It's this area that's beautiful and you ride along, there's a bridge and it's just very windy and can be a little scary for some people, I think, as well. We wanted to make that drive, but they had just had a landslide a few months prior. So going Route 1 that way was not possible. We would have had to go around, up, and then back down, and then back up again. So we didn't want to do all that. So unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do Big Sur. However, we went up and around and down a little bit. We didn't want to make that whole journey all the way back down through Big Sur and just have to turn around and go back. We went down to Carmel-by-the-Sea. That was probably, next to Big Sur, Carmel-by-the-Sea was probably the place I wanted to see the most. I had high expectations and it was a letdown. But then from there, we went to Monterey, and I'd been to Monterey once before, but I hadn't really spent any time on the old Fisherman's Wharf.
Lots of noisy seals in the water playing. We were going to eat there. The restaurants were very tourist pricing and not a lot really appealed to us, so we nixed that idea, and we did have to pay for parking there. It was kind of a big parking lot, but it took us a little bit to figure out where to go, and then we didn't stay long.
So since we ended up not eating at Old Fisherman's Wharf, we decided to stop before, because we were going to be staying the night in Santa Cruz, and from Monterey to Santa Cruz was only like 45 minutes or so. So we ended up stopping at a place called Mangiamo's. It's a pizza place, was kind of right in between Monterey and Santa Cruz. Pizza sounded really good, so we ended up stopping. Turns out the place was really good, super friendly, and the food was excellent. But then from there, we continued on into Santa Cruz, where we ended up staying the night. Santa Cruz has this pretty fun boardwalk, lots of rides and games and, places to eat.
It's close to the Jersey Shore boardwalk aesthetic as I've seen on the West Coast. It was my second time going. Kevin's first time, and my all-time favorite movie, The Lost Boys. A bunch of scenes were filmed on that boardwalk. I get excited to go there because it's rekindling my comfort film vibes. We walked the boardwalk, and we liked that part.
We ate at a place called The Buttery, had breakfast there, which was really good. Everything we loved. So if you're ever in Santa Cruz, I would highly recommend ducking in. And from there, we made the 3.5-hour drive to Yosemite National Park, which was something that we added on in the end, because we were just going to drive back. But since Yosemite was one of the national parks that we had some interest in seeing, we just decided to add that in. Very happy we did. It's in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The national park was beautiful. It's known for its giant and ancient sequoia trees. Also, they have a tunnel to drive through.
Because when you come through the tunnel, you can see the views of the mountains between them. It's just kind of like it frames the mountains in a way with the arch of the tunnel. Makes it very picturesque.
They also have Bridal Veil Fall, which if you go the right time of year, it's really beautiful. We were there during summer, and so it was more of a trickle than it was a fall. But still, it was pretty dried out, but still, I can see the beauty in it, and I'm sure that it's really pretty if you go in fall or winter when it's in all of its full glory. They also have these incredible granite cliffs called El Capitan and Half Dome. Those are probably the other 2 stars of the park, I would say, in addition to the sequoias and, El Capitan and Bridal Veil Falls and all the other things that we've already mentioned. They also have a lot of valleys and meadows. There's this huge wilderness area as well. The park, it's something to behold.
We had to park in one area and take a shuttle to go up to see the giant sequoia trees. So we took a shuttle, which we had to wait a little bit. It wasn't too bad. But then after we walked through the area with trees and we had to shuttle back to the car, that line, we had to wait, I think, for 2 shuttles before we got on the third one. So that took a little time, but obviously summertime, bigger crowds. If you're in there in the off season, maybe it's not so bad.
We're out here at Yosemite National Park, and we're in the Mariposa Grove, which is where the sequoias are out here at Yosemite, and they are, first time I've seen one in person, they are massive. And we're headed to one right now called the Grizzly Giant, so we're about a half a mile walk from that one, and I believe that's the biggest one in Yosemite, at least. So once we had, fully enjoyed the day there at the national park, we backtracked to the closest city to Yosemite. Is called Oakhurst. It's right there. It's just outside of Yosemite. But we stayed at a hotel there. But the highlight of that was there's a restaurant in Oakhurst called the Southgate Brewing Company. And wow. I am a big time ribeye lover specifically, and they had a smoked ribeye, which I've never even heard of anyone doing before, but it was the best steak I'd ever had. The people were super nice. Everything was really good. Felicia, you loved what you had.
To say that the people at the restaurant were nice is really an understatement.
Yeah.
They were like otherworldly kind and friendly. We sat at the bar, and not only was the bartender nice, but the cook came out and talked to Kevin about his steak. Because of his food sensitivities, they wanted to make sure that he was fine and happy with the food. There's nice, and then there's like, wow, this is so great, like so welcoming. And we don't really get that. I don't feel like we get that a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe other people do, but it's not something I feel like is common that I've experienced. And yeah, that was hands down. I would go if I'm ever even anywhere near that city. I mean, maybe I shouldn't go back though, because then if it's not as great, it would cloud the first experience. But in that moment in time, the people that were working, the hostess was great, all the servers were great. Like I said, it was just wow.
It was a great experience. It really was. So after that, we got up the next morning and made the 6.5-hour drive back to San Diego from Yosemite. On our way, we stopped through Fresno, check it out. We ended up finding a place to eat there, a restaurant called Wrap It Up. It was a vegan restaurant. Hard to call it a restaurant. It was kind of a you go in and grab something and go.
Yeah, she has more of a meal prep. So you can order meals for the week, but then there was also a case where you could grab anything that she had extra. So there were no tables inside. She had been doing it out of her house, and then she opened a brick and mortar.
But yeah, so if you ever go through Fresno, highly recommend going to Wrap It Up. The food was really good.
Yeah.
So after Fresno and eating at Wrap It Up, we made our way back to San Diego, and that was that. So we appreciate you joining us today. Hope that you learned something and that you enjoyed it. So we will see you the next time. Thanks.